Should external help be allowed to interfere in African matters, especially if the assistance comes from Western-controlled organizations? Rwanda has always been involved in the Congo conflict. The UN has supposedly decided to support South Africa-led intervention in the DRC conflict to end it. However, this raises concerns for Rwanda about the UN's intentions. The question arises, who is genuinely willing to end the conflict and is dressed as a peacemaker, but attempting to obscure their true intentions? Let's find out. The Democratic Republic of Congo conflict has taken everyone's attention recently. But what is this conflict all about? The Democratic Republic of Congo DRC conflict refers to a complex and protracted series of armed conflicts and political instability that has plagued the eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of Congo in Central Africa for decades. The conflict involves a multitude of armed groups, both domestic and foreign. Various factors, including ethnic tensions, competition for control over valuable natural resources, historical grievances, and political power struggles, have fueled it. However, there are some key elements and phases of the DRC conflict. Firstly, it is the Rwandan genocide fallout. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to the aftermath of the Rwandan genocide in 1994. The genocide, which resulted in the mass killing of ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus in Rwanda, led to an influx of refugees, including both perpetrators and victims, into the eastern regions of the DRC. The conflict escalated with the First Congo War, during which a coalition of Rwandan and Ugandan forces supported rebel movements seeking to overthrow then-President Mobutu Sese Seko. Laurent Désiré Kabila ultimately came to power with the backing of these forces. The Second Congo War, also known as the Great War of Africa, involved multiple African countries and various rebel groups. It became one of the deadliest conflicts since World War II. The war officially ended in 2003, but violence persisted in the eastern DRC. Despite official peace agreements, the eastern DRC continued to witness conflict due to the presence of numerous rebel groups. These groups, such as the M23, the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda (FDLR), and others, have been involved in power struggles, resource exploitation, and human rights abuses. Control over valuable natural resources, including minerals like coltan, gold, and diamonds, has significantly influenced the conflict. Armed groups have exploited these resources to fund their activities, contributing to the perpetuation of violence. The DRC conflict has drawn in neighboring countries, with some supporting rebel groups and others intervening to protect their interests. International efforts, including UN peacekeeping missions, have been deployed to stabilize the region, but challenges persist. But one important thing to note here is Rwanda's involvement. Rwanda has always been and still is involved in the DRC conflict. And why is that? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. The motivations behind Rwanda's actions in the Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) are multiple. Various factors have influenced Rwanda's involvement in the DRC conflict, ranging from security concerns and historical grievances to economic interests. Security concerns have been one of the primary motivations for Rwanda's involvement in the DRC, especially along its eastern border. The presence of armed groups, particularly Hutu militias responsible for the 1994 genocide, posed a perceived threat to Rwanda. Rwanda aimed to eliminate this threat by intervening in the DRC and preventing attacks on its territory. The influx of Rwandan refugees, including both perpetrators and victims of the genocide, into the eastern DRC created a complex humanitarian situation. The presence of Hutu militias, such as the Forces Démocratiques pour la Libération du Rwanda (FDLR), in the DRC fueled Rwanda's concerns about the potential for these groups to regroup and launch attacks. Rwanda's involvement in the DRC can be viewed within the context of regional power dynamics. The desire to assert influence and shape the political landscape in the Great Lakes region has been a factor. During the First and Second Congo Wars, Rwanda and Uganda sought to support rebel movements and install leaders sympathetic to their interests in the DRC. Control over valuable natural resources in the eastern DRC, including minerals like coltan, gold, and diamonds, has been a significant motivation. Some experts have argued that Rwanda, among other neighboring countries, has been illicitly exploiting these resources. contributing to the perpetuation of conflict. The DRC conflict has sometimes been characterized by proxy warfare, with various neighboring countries supporting opposing factions. Regional rivalries, particularly with Uganda, have influenced Rwanda's actions in the DRC. The competition for influence and control has fueled tensions and conflict. Rwanda has, at times, justified its interventions in the DRC as preemptive actions against perceived threats to its security. The government has argued that taking military action in the DRC is necessary to prevent the resurgence of armed groups. The tensions have accelerated after the United Nations Security Council's plan to support the South African-led forces in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda has objected to it. There is a potential for the DRC conflict to evolve into a regional war, with Rwanda and the SADC forces on opposing sides. Rwanda denies involvement in the DRC's conflict, emphasizing the need for a peaceful resolution. The key challenge is to address these conflicting claims and prevent a regional war that could have devastating consequences for the entire African Great Lakes region. But why is Rwanda objecting to UN support for the SADC mission in the DRC? Rwanda consistently denies direct involvement in the DRC conflict. The objection is rooted in Rwanda's position that it is not a party to the conflict and that attributing involvement to Rwanda is inaccurate. The UN support for the SADC mission is seen by Rwanda as an endorsement of allegations against it, further complicating its diplomatic standing. Apart from that, Rwanda is apprehensive that the UN's support for the SADC mission could escalate regional tensions. The involvement of external forces in the DRC, especially those led by South Africa under the SADC umbrella, is viewed by Rwanda as an interference that could exacerbate the already complex regional dynamics. This objection reflects Rwanda's desire to avoid an escalation that might lead to a broader regional conflict. Rwanda's objections are also linked to concerns about the credibility of historical grievances. If the UN endorses the SADC mission without addressing Rwanda's perspective and historical concerns adequately, it will be perceived as a biased approach. Rwanda seeks a more balanced and impartial evaluation of the historical context before accepting external interventions. There is also a fear within Rwanda that the SADC mission, with UN support, could lead to misunderstandings or misinterpretations. Rwanda is concerned that the mission could inadvertently target or implicate Rwandan interests, leading to unintended consequences and further straining relations. In objecting to the UN support for the SADC mission, Rwanda also emphasizes the need for a peaceful and diplomatic resolution to the DRC conflict. Rwanda argues that diplomatic channels and negotiations, rather than military intervention, should be prioritized to address the root causes of the conflict and find a lasting solution. But Rwanda's concerns would only make sense if we knew the goal of South African-led intervention in DRC. So, what are the goals of the South African-led intervention in the DRC, and how does it impact regional stability? The South African-led intervention in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC, as part of the Southern African Development Community SADC mission, aims to achieve several goals. The primary goal is to combat rebel groups operating in the DRC, focusing on groups like the M23. Rebel movements have been a long-standing source of instability in the region, and the intervention seeks to eliminate or neutralize these groups to restore peace and security. The intervention aims to restore stability in the eastern regions of the DRC, which have been marred by persistent conflict, violence, and humanitarian crises. By addressing the root causes of instability, the mission seeks to create an environment conducive to social, economic, and political development. An essential aspect of the intervention is to protect civilians from the impacts of armed conflict, including displacement, human rights abuses, and violence. Ensuring the safety and well-being of the local population is a key goal to promote long-term stability in the region. The intervention aims to prevent the conflict's cross-border threats and spillover effects into neighboring countries. By stabilizing the situation in the DRC, the mission seeks to reduce the potential for regional destabilization and conflicts. Beyond military objectives, the intervention aims to facilitate peace and reconciliation efforts among different ethnic and political groups within the DRC. Establishing a dialogue and conflict resolution framework is crucial for achieving sustainable peace. Otherwise, the consequences won't be in anyone's favor. The impact on regional stability can be assessed based on how effectively these goals are achieved. If the intervention successfully eliminates rebel groups, restores stability, and protects civilians, it can contribute to regional stability. A more secure and stable DRC would likely positively affect neighboring countries. However, if the intervention increases tensions or misunderstandings, especially with countries like Rwanda objecting to external involvement, there is a risk of regional escalation. Mismanagement of the intervention may exacerbate existing conflicts and strain regional relationships. The intervention's impact on regional stability depends on coordinating efforts among SADC member states and other stakeholders. Collaborative actions that address shared concerns and promote mutual understanding can enhance stability in the broader Great Lakes region. But as Rwanda is standing against the South African-led intervention in the DRC, does this mean a conflict is a must? Rwanda's opposition to the South African-led intervention in the DRC does not necessarily mean that conflict is inevitable. While tensions may be heightened due to differing perspectives and interests, the situation can still be resolved through diplomatic means, including communication and negotiation. Effective communication channels between Rwanda and the SADC forces and other stakeholders involved in the DRC conflict are crucial for de-escalating tensions and finding common ground. Open and honest dialogue can help address misunderstandings, clarify intentions, and identify areas of mutual interest or concern. Establishing clear lines of communication can also facilitate transparency and build trust among the parties involved. By engaging in constructive dialogue, Rwanda and the SADC forces can work towards resolving their differences and finding a peaceful solution. Do you think Rwanda will do anything if transparency is established? Is conflict a must, or are there ways to avoid it? What if the UN support is blocked? Let us know in the comment section if you think the UN should take very conscious steps. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: African politics, economy, and increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.